All right, guys, we're joined here at Joe Wheeler State Park getting ready for the Costa FLW Series event on Wheeler Lake by Cameron Gautney. Cameron, you know this whole river system really well. You're pretty in tune with it. I guess as far as Wheeler goes, where do you feel like the fish are right now? Because it seems like the kind of time of year where they could be in 2 feet of water or they could be in 25 feet of water.
And that's exactly the thing. I mean, right now you have fish from literally, 6 inches of water all the way out to, I've seen some in 28 to 30 foot.
No kidding.
There's not that many fish out deep right now.
Okay.
A lot of the schools I was expecting to be out by now are not there. I honestly think there's still a lot of fish that are kind of behind.
Really?
I think the main waves already spawned out for sure. There's obviously still some on bed, but I think a lot of the fish are still making their way out deep.
Okay.
And definitely the shallow game is probably going to be, a big player this week, for sure.
Alrighty. I guess a quick question on the offshore fish. Those that are out there, last week at Pickwick, it seemed like it was really hard for guys to get those fish to bite. This week, is it real hard to get them to bite here, or usually if you find them, you feel like you can catch them?
I mean, you can get them to bite. It's just more of like getting them fired up. It's a lot harder to get them to bite. You really have to sit there on them for a while. Okay. There's not really enough fish to sit out there and, you see a lot of guys will hit, 20 or 30 schools a day and wait for that one school to pull up and start eating. Yeah. And right now there's just not enough out there to do it, I don't think. Okay. You can get them to bite. It's just the same way as Pickwick. It's just a grind for sure.
All right. Up shallow, what's going on there? I mean, what kind of cover do you feel like is out in the lake? Because I've looked at it, I can see there's a whole ton of wood cover. I knew that from the last time we were here, but there's like grass and stuff too, right?
Right, I mean, yeah, just like your shoreline weeds. Okay. That's gonna be a player, but the bush is really the main thing here. All right. And then you go up into Elk River, you have the like the log jams and floating logs. Yeah. That's the big thing too. But as far as the shallow bite, I would definitely say the brush. The bushes, that's gonna be the main thing. Okay. For sure.
I guess the water level is probably pretty critical for that.
It is.
How much water is in the bushes? Do you think it'll stay like that during the tournament?
As far as I've been able to tell, I think they've been fluctuating like an inch or two. I mean, not much drastically at all. Maybe with this rain, I don't know how much rain we're supposed to be getting the next day. I mean, it might push it up a little bit, but I'd imagine it'll probably stay about the same.
All right, good deal. I guess my last one, you know this area really well. You fished a lot of tournaments here. What's your feeling for a winning weight over 3 days this time of year?
If you would have said this last year, I would have put it at probably, low 20s a day, like 22, 23 a day. Okay. Maybe even mid 20s if they were all out deep. Yep. This year, and how spread out the fish are, not really grouped up as good, I'm probably going to put it, probably around 20 a day is what I'm going to say. All right. So probably around 60 pounds, probably going to be the winning weight, I would say.
Do you think the guy who catches that catches some out and some in, or do you think someone can really ride one track the whole way? Honestly,
from what I've seen, it's going to be hard to sit on one deep school for 3 days. I just don't see that many fish out there. I mean, you're looking at groups of fish, maybe 10 fish in them. And that's just, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to put together, mid-range or shallow and then put your deep stuff with it. Okay. Definitely deep stuff. If you get bit right now, it's going to be a good one. It's just getting them to bite. It's the hard thing.
All righty.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Cameron, thanks for stopping by. Good luck with the last couple hours of practice, and good luck once this tournament starts up.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right, guys, we're joined now by Glenn Browne, Southeastern Division AOI leader. Had a great finish in the Northern Division last year, made the tour. Now you're looking for an AOI title in the Southeastern Division. I guess, do you think you can close it out this week?
Boy, it's going to be tough. I'm a shallow water guy and stuff's changing fast. The fish are leaving the shallows, and that's all I did is I practiced shallow. Okay. I just came from Pickwick and I caught them shallow there, and I felt like I could kind of, I know I'm not going to be able to win, chances are, unless just, fish show up or I have some really miracle moves and catch some big ones. All right. But, I feel like coming from Pickwick, I can kind of come down here and do some of the similar things, and I think I can catch an okay bag And then if I happen to run into a big fish, I can catch a really good bag. You know, I don't know if I can catch 20, but you know, I think if you catch 14, 15 pounds right now, you're
in pretty good shape.
You're going to be in really good shape. You know, I think of course it's going to take, you know, upper teens of 20 a day to win. But you know, I'd be pretty happy getting out of here with the top 10 or at least beating Pat Fisher.
Alrighty. You're a real shallow water guy. I know when the fish are shallow, especially this time of year and on the Tennessee River, the water level matters a lot. You know, just a few inches change up or down can push them in or out a lot. What's it like out there right now?
You know, I think it's right at what they call a summer pool. And I wish it was a little bit higher. You know, there's this place has a lot of bushes and a lot of good cover, a lot of good grass, like that willow weed on the bank. Yep. But the problem with it is you really got to look hard to find the bushes or the grass that has just 2 foot. If you find the ones with a foot, you can't catch them. You find the grass with 2 foot, you can get a couple bites. And there's just not a lot of that out there. I mean, I've been up and down this lake. I've been from Decatur to way up the Elk today. I mean, I tried to burn all the gas out of that G2, and that Evander just doesn't burn fuel. I don't burn a half a tank, and I've been from one end to the other. So just looking for the right stuff.
You, I imagine you started practice up here sometime on Sunday after you got done fishing day 3 at Pickwick?
Yeah, I got out here about lunchtime. I had to do some laundry and all that stuff.
Yeah, get yourself situated.
Yeah, and just kind of eased into it, and I didn't really get serious till Monday though.
All right. When was the last time you fished on Wheeler? Because I'm sure you fished here before, but you know, it always changes a little bit. And do you feel like you're familiar and got a good grasp of the lake, or is it something where you are going to need to maybe figure something new out every day if it sort of comes to that?
You know, I've got a pretty good idea what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to start with a morning deal, and then I'm going to kind of change up as the day goes on. I mean, I'm still going to fish shallow, but what I fish is going to change. Okay. So, you know, I didn't even practice offshore, so I'm not even going to go offshore. I'm going to rig up a handful of flipping sticks and some stuff to throw in the grass and whatnot, and I'm going to let them lay where they may, and it just is what it is.
Alrighty. As far as the shad spawn goes, that was a big deal down on Pickwick. Seemed like a lot of guys in the top 10 capitalized on that to some degree. Is it going on up here? Have you seen any of that? Or is it just is it not going to be much of a factor this week, do you think?
I don't think it's going to be as much of a factor. I think it's pretty much done. You know, I saw it a little bit on Sunday and maybe a little bit Monday, but it's, you know, you see a lot of shad off the bank, but you don't see any of that stuff right up on the bank like you kind of did at Pickwick. So I think it's kind of over here.
Alrighty, if you had to guess, do you feel like there are fish to win up shallow, or do you think this gets won by someone who is really putting the time offshore and is finding those first few fish coming out?
It's probably going to be offshore. You know, it's going to be something just off the bank. You know, I don't think it's going to be terribly deep offshore, but it's going to be off the bank.
All right. Well, Glenn, thanks for stopping by, and man, good luck once this thing gets going.
All right, thank you.